So, in the upcoming episode, we have got more questions from you, the audience. So that's really awesome. Thank you very much. Shout out to you, Deb. Shout out to you, Olly. Please keep the questions coming in. They're absolutely fantastic. These questions we're talking about gatekeepers, being a gatekeeper. We're talking about mentoring. We're talking about onboarding or joining a new project and how should you operate when you join a new project or you are faced with a new product, and how should you behave in these different situations. So yeah, it's another good episode. I talked a little bit about where I've been for the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That was cool. What else do we talk about, Rich?
Yeah, what you just said there. Amazing questions. Lots of good, interesting things about gatekeeper, C-level interference, lots of good topics around mentoring. And then, context, testability. So, it's a really good episode. No AI, no automation. So get stuck in.
Okay. Welcome to the latest episode of the Vernon Richard Show.
Woo! Hello.
I am Vernon.
And I am Richard.
Yeah, we are recording this maybe a month or so after the last one, so I have done my best to make Richard's life a misery. I have been to Liverpool for the last game of the season. I went for the parade. I kept Richard up to date with lots of videos and pictures from those 2 days. He enjoyed them immensely.
No, I didn't.
From that best 4 weeks ever. It really has been great. So yeah, this is the that's all the football you're going to get because there's no football. The football season's finished. So all the people who dislike football don't have to worry about that for the next 2 or 3 months. So that is good. But we are back. We've got some questions that have been sent in by some listeners, and they have hit us up on our LinkedIn DMs. So if you too have some questions or some ideas, or you want to get our thoughts and opinions about something, please also use the DM us on the Vernon Richard Show on LinkedIn, or you can DM us individually if you prefer that. So how have you been, Rich? It's been a while since we've had a recording. Before we get into the answers, how have you been? What's happening with you?
Oh, me, I'm good. I'm landscaping my garden. That's probably what's taking up most of my life at the moment. So I'm doing garden project number 2.
Literally on his own, shoveling tons and tons of earth out of his garden. It's ridiculous. Very ridiculous.
I think I've done 5 ton of gravel, probably the equivalent in rocks and stones from the old walls. And then, I've probably dug probably very similar amount out the ground. And now I'm finally able to put some new walls up. So putting some nice oak sleeper walls in. And then once that's all in, I can level it all off and then see what time of year it is and if there's time to actually put the paving down and I'm building my son a tree house and a big play area. So he's going to have this enclosed play area with a big tree house, a sand pit, water table, mud kitchen, all custom designed to fit around this raised little tree house. So we'll have a proper room in it, proper roof, be watertight. So, it can be his playroom for now. And then when he's older, maybe it will be his little hideout. Who knows? But
office
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Put a zip line going out his bedroom window because that's at the back of the house, straight into his treehouse.
Cool.
But yeah,
cool.
that's what's keeping me busy. Work's been great. I'm on this. I'm on a Salesforce project, doing lots of playwright, lots of Salesforce challenges. But yeah, enjoying it. Got another month or so of that left. So
nice.
yeah, all good. You?
Yeah, work has been busy. The day job has been busy. The side hustles have been busy. We're hiring for a principal QA/QE. So there's lots of going through CVs, interviewing people, organizing stuff. We are also going on this mad hunt for data and test data and metrics, having lots of conversations with my teammates and my CTO about what we should and shouldn't measure. And I keep getting all having all these allergic reactions to things that I think look stupid. I think
measure everything, right?
I'm slightly. No, that's not. I was going to say I think I'm slightly annoying my my boss, but I don't think I'm annoying him. But he's kind of like, yeah, this is not help. This is not helping us get stuff done. Having these philosophical debates. And then
Sounds
I've
like
been
you
doing a
need
lot
some
of
of those experiments that people often talk about. Like when you go into such a rabbit hole, just say, right, let's just agree to do that and see if it works. Let's just agree to get
That's
that
what
one.
so my other teammate Shrey, who's an absolute legend. I think I say that to him a lot. I don't know if he's going to strangle me or not, but I say that I'm just like, okay. I find myself saying this thing doesn't look like a fantastic idea, but let's start it, see how we go. But he rightly pushes back. Like he said it to me today again. He kind of goes, look, if we really don't think this is a good idea and this is going to impact a bunch of people, we're kind of wasting their time, and that isn't good. Like, can we not do that? And like, yeah, true.
Yeah.
So it's all trying to balance all these competing needs and agendas and desires and all the rest of it. So it's really cool. And then outside of the day job, I went and did an event for Manchester Tech Festival. Yeah, Manchester Tech Festival hosted an evening focused on men's mental health. And so we heard from Dimitri Lako, we heard from Kofi Josephs, we heard from James Davies, and we also heard from Jamie Lee Dennis. I'm going to put a link to the post that signposts you to all that stuff, and you should definitely follow these folks, listen to their stories. It was particularly timely for me because I feel like my mental health is not fantastic at this time, so it was good. Went up to Manchester, got to listen to some people, get some advice. Got to see Rich, which didn't help my mental health. No, I'm kidding. Which really helped my mental health a lot.
It destroyed
Look
mine. It's
at
absolutely. I was flying well high in it. Plummeted.
So yeah, I'm gonna do my best to find some resources from the sponsors who were there and share that in the show notes, because I think this is a really important topic. I don't think, as dudes, I don't think we have a penchant, as they say, for not attending to our mental health very well. So make sure you check in on each other, make sure you're sharing, talking, don't go through things on your own. I've had great support from my pals, male and female, humans of all kinds, and it's really helped me out. So yeah, there are people out there that will listen, care about you, and definitely just trust me on this. It feels like they don't, but they do. I'm saying this as much to myself as I'm saying it to everybody who's listening.
Well, I'm saying this. Really I'm saying this to you and everyone else who's listening. You can message me at any point, anytime, any question. There's no topics that I'm not more comfortable replying about and chatting to. And if you just need someone to talk to, I'm definitely going to be there. I got offered so many messages of support, and I did take people's up on their ability to call them, and it was brilliant. They didn't even have to say anything a lot of the time. Just the act of you getting it out and knowing that someone else is there listening intently helps you not triple question everything that's just come out of your head and beat yourself up even more. So yeah. But yeah, it was a really good event. I got a lot of time for Manchester Tech Festival. They're always put on a good meetup. Yeah.
Yeah, in true Vern style, basically I did a lot of traveling, didn't necessarily plan it super well. So in 2 weeks I went to Frankfurt with the legendary Baron Vandala, and we did a workshop about risk storming. Then I went to Prague to meet my teammates for my day job, and then I went to Manchester to do the event with Amy, and then I literally drove through the night to go to Heathrow to fly to Zurich to speak at the greatest conference with some cool people like Maria, Eric, Goiko. I'll put all this stuff in the show notes. Definitely follow these folks; they're absolutely amazing. And then I went to Liverpool to celebrate the win, and now I'm back with my friend Richard. So that's what I've been up to in the interim. But I suppose we should get into these questions, shouldn't we? Because what we've discovered, while we have been on a little mini hiatus, mainly because of me, so sorry for that, people have pinged us with questions. Amazing. So we are going to get into those questions right now. And the first one is from the legendary Deb Sherwood. Thank you, Deb, for this question. So I'll read this one out. So here's Deb's question. We as quality professionals try not to be the gatekeepers. We're not really meant to say yes or no, you can or cannot release. Instead, we tend to present as much information as possible to the team so we can all make the decision together. At least that's how I try to work, she says. What happens, though, when you have no choice but to be a gatekeeper or semi-gatekeeper? For example, the C-suite are looking to you to give them an idea of a top-tier customer project, or a customer has come back with lots of issues, so now all fixes have to go through you before we say, yep, that looks good. How do you handle that? I'm going to let you answer this, Richard, because I'm still trying to figure out exactly what the question means. I'm not sure if I'm really understanding it properly.
My immediate reaction is we need to go. I'll never find it, but I need to go find that clip of you from a previous episode. Thou shalt not pass. Like, that's my immediate response. Just stood there in the office, being like, "Nope." Like change your avatar. Yeah, change your avatar to be Gandalf, and just. So that could be one way of doing it. Jokes aside, like so. I do agree with Deb. It's not a role I want to play. It's not a role I advocate for, but it is a role I have definitely played. I have been in a lot of contexts, especially in consulting, where you kind of almost have two elements to it, as in you've got your customer who you're consulting for, but then they have their customer who is going to use the thing you're building. So you almost like play gatekeeper a little bit from you as a consultant or from your consultancy, because you have that level of quality. Then you have the level of quality that the customer is trying to achieve for their users. So I've seen it that way. But yeah, definitely agree that it's not a role I want to be. I 100% advocate, before we get into these answers, I 100% advocate for doing this as a team, right? You know, the whole holistic approach. I prefer to gather facts, information, present them, discuss them as a team. Ideally, I also prefer to have some heuristics or, you know, even rules in place that the team agree on, so that, you know, it's not coming to me to make a decision. So, you know, if there's a P1, that's it. We ain't shipping because the rules say we don't ship if there's a P1. Yeah, exactly. So hopefully those kind of things are in place. But if I'm forced to, I almost don't want to. My first reaction here is to like turn into like root cause analysis. It's like, well, why? Why are you feeling less confident about this particular customer? What is it about this customer? What have they said? What have they done in the past that I don't know about that is making the C-suite feel on edge? Because whatever that is probably the actual piece of information I need, not the instructions from the C-suite that says you are now going to be a gatekeeper. I probably need that bit of information so I can then work back through our ways of working and go, well, we could tighten it up there, we could tighten it up here. Or maybe we just never made that bit clear enough to other people. We never brought that piece of information to the surface. So that's kind of my initial reaction. But then if I do have to be the person that 100% says yes or no, I'm probably going to be pretty sly. I'm probably going to come up with a set of rules and guidelines that may appear that I've made the decision, but really I've just, you know, got the information, already done the whole team thing, and it's all gathered onto some sort of report or, you know, one-page thing, and it's just me going, we have done the work we said we would do. As opposed to me saying this is all okay, I'm saying we have done the levels of due diligence and quality, and our ways of working have been adhered to. And I would try and push that, as opposed to Richard says this is fantastic quality. I definitely don't want to do that bit. But yeah, the same with the lots of issues one. I'm immediately curious there. Why, if we've got solid ways of working, why have they got lots of issues? You know, there's definitely something going wrong there. Miscommunication and, you know, unclear expectations. I'd rather want to dig into that and try and improve the overall process, then suddenly play gatekeeper.
Yeah, they get. I think you hit upon. I'd love to talk to Deb directly about this situation. I think I might ping Deb, see if she's up for a natter. But I was going in the direction of something you said around what's the underlying need. So the presentation that I did over in Zurich for the Greatest Conference, it was talking about sales tactics and skills and things, concepts that help us in our job. And one of them is this concept called jobs to be done. And it's like, what job is the gatekeeper actually fulfilling? So on the surface, the gatekeeper is the person who is the scapegoat, who's providing the go, no go. Yes, this is fine. I'm telling you it's fine. But I think there's something else like there's a need that it is meeting. Like, why is it important to have that person? I'd like to get to the bottom of that, because I think that might help me be a better gatekeeper or give people a better alternative, maybe. I would definitely attempt. I mean, it depends on what your relationship is like with your executive leadership team, your C-suite. Depends what that relationship is like, but you definitely, I think you need to be kind of advocating and pushing back on being the gatekeeper, right? You kind of need to be explaining, hey, so I can do this thing and I will do this thing, but understand these are the consequences, or these are the challenges, or these are the problems that we could be making for ourselves if we do this thing. And try, and it's not easy. I'm saying this thing like it's super easy. I know it's not easy to do. I still struggle to do it. We need to act like a more of an expert, rather than, somebody just says, well, I'm going to tell you as a non-expert in the field to do this thing, and you as an expert are saying that's crazy. It'd be like walking into a doctor and saying, hey doc, I think what I need is a triple heart bypass, so could we get straight on that, please? Absolutely right, Mr. Richards. Step this way. That's not going to happen. And that's an extreme and silly example, but it's kind of the same here. It's kind of like, why do I have to make the decision?
Yeah.
Why aren't you making the decision, dear leader? Like, what is going on here? Like, that's
I
it's
agree.
a bit of an interesting one. And I must say, the second example that Deb talks about, the one with lots of issues, I don't know if that. I think I was saying this to you before. Like, to me, that feels more like being a project manager or a single point of contact. And that actually, I don't think in and of itself that is a bad thing, depending on what the situation, as usual. Because your team definitely don't want requests coming in from every direction and all kinds of angles. That is, we've all been on those delivery teams where, somebody outside of the team has a personal relationship with, one of your developers, or, one of the testers, and they keep doing these little sneaky, hey man, hey Rich, could you just quickly test this thing? And we've committed to do all this other work, and there's all this like shadow work happening over here. That can be a nightmare to deal with, even though it's quite 99% of the time it's done with the best of intentions on all sides. It's just that there are consequences to if you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. So that one might not always be a gatekeeper. Maybe that's the semi-gatekeeper part that Deb talked about. But yeah, it's a good question. I'd like to know what everybody else thinks, because I am not happy with my answer. So I'd love to know if the folks out there have got a better answer.
Well, there's two things that you brought up that like triggered me to think of something else. Was number one, that where you just said that there's always those little side conversations going on, definitely. But the other one that really gets me is CTO has joined the chat, so suddenly see people are appearing in your regular Slack channels or whatever. It's like, hang on a minute, like what? Like there's something happening here that we don't know about. Like that's always an alarm.
Gonna ring the Keith Klein bell. If your exec level team are asking you questions about testing, you are in deep shit. Like something has gone wrong somewhere. If they really want to know about the minutiae of this piece of the overall process, something weird is going on, something wrong has happened.
Yeah.
I can't say it as forthright as Keith might say it, but yeah, that's
But yeah, my last point on it though is what you said about, being that point of contact. Absolutely. And almost again, you didn't mention the word, but like what you were discussing very much feels like an education piece as well. It's like,
Yeah,
why there's an opportunity here to be educated from the C level person, as in what do you know that I don't? What do you suddenly
yeah,
care about that you've never told me before? But then also
hmm
the other way around, they've been why me being a gatekeeper is not ideal. The impact that could have on me, the impact that could have on the team. Did you know there's a dashboard here you could go look at every day? Like, no, I had no idea there was a dashboard. Like,
yeah,
so it's almost like there's that opportunity, but again, the need for that conversation to be had in the first place usually means that there's something changed. And I'd love to talk about testability, as you know, right? But then that for me feels like a context change, which may or may not mean our ways of working need to change.
yeah,
That for me is like that trigger. If it's a genuine, valid trigger, then we change our ways of working to appease it. But again, repeat what we've both said. I don't want to do that in a gatekeeper way. I do not want to be the person that says ship it, don't ship it. I want to be the person that helps design the guardrails, the
yeah.
dashboards, the information storage, whatever it is. I want to be that.
Definitely want to be a good corporate citizen. Like you want to be, a team player. Obviously, it's the ELT, so there are career limiting ways to go about having this conversation for sure. So that that whole power dynamic is real and has to be factored in. So yeah, but we're not advocating that you go all gung ho and just be like, screw you, man, I'm not doing the gatekeeper. Like it's not. That's not what we're advocating for.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
see if you can kind of say, okay, this time we'll do it, but please, we need to talk about this afterwards because
Yeah,
here's some things that I'm worried about, and so. But yeah, thank you for the question, Deb. That was very
absolutely.
very cool. Now
Yeah.
I'm wondering if our next question asker is friends with Emily because he has done what I am now going to call an Emily and just gone into overdrive with questions. We're not mad, by the way. We're not mad at it at all. We love it. Olly Fairhall, you absolute legend. He has come in hot with some questions.
All right. I think I'll go for this one.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
so go for it.
a bunch of questions from Olly Fairhall. Um, have you got any advice around mentoring? How do you tell if it's helping people? Have you had any particularly good or bad experience of mentoring or being mentored?
I think so. This sounds like he's asking about being the mentor primarily, right?
I think so, yeah. I think it's more around,
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
think he's being the mentor.
yeah, I think how do you tell if it's helping people? I think the way you tell if it's helping people, I think it should start with something quite explicit. So there should be quite a clear and tangible goal in mind that you're trying to help somebody achieve. The person that you're mentoring is trying to, you know, get to a point in their career or, get some kind of promotion or, whatever it is, learn some skill. If they can be the more explicit they can be around that, it gives you an opportunity to kind of objectively know whether you've reached that goal or not. And I think
Yeah,
that's how you tell. That's one way you can tell if you're helping people. Another way you can tell if you're helping people is feedback, like two-way. I think as the mentee, if that's even a word, as the mentee in the relationship, I think if they are not bringing a certain level of commitment and I don't know what the right word is, but they're not
showing
putting in the
up.
time and the effort, that is a signal of something not quite going right. And so that would tell you whether it's helping or not. Because if they're not showing up, or they're not, and there might be a
Like
million
putting
and
in
one
the
reasons
work. Yeah.
putting in the work. If they're not meeting you halfway, then that can be a signal that can tell you whether or not you're helping people. And time box it. I think I would say, okay, we're going to do this thing on, we're going to have this specific goal, but we're also going to do it for a certain amount of, maybe we're going to do it to a particular date, or maybe we're going to do it for a number of sessions, and then reevaluate at that point. So that's what I would advocate around there. I mean, have you got any advice before we get into the good or bad experiences that we have had?
Well, you just reminded me as you were talking about smart goals, right? So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So I think that for me is the main piece of advice here that I would have come back with, which is what is the goal? How are they closer to achieving that goal, or have they achieved it? But also not making it massive. Like I don't know,
Yep.
become a test engineer, right? Because that's become an automation engineer, right? Because that's huge. So like making sure you've got sensible goals, achievable, smart goals.
Yep.
Um, Helping people, one thing I've tried, and it's something I still carry on in my teaching, is coming up with some small activities like workshop based kind of challenges. So, if you've spent a couple of sessions on, I don't know, accessibility testing for it, perhaps, then set them
Hmm.
a small challenge to go off on their own and actually, perform some accessibility testing on like a mock website where you kind of know most of the low hanging fruit, for example, and you'd be expecting them to get that. And then that
Hmm.
might help you evaluate where they're at. So, again, if they miss some of the low hanging fruit you would expect, maybe they, didn't fully get what you were teaching in that earlier
Mm.
session, or, maybe they found, the weaker materials than you would have recommended reading or watching. So yeah, I would definitely say the goals and then the little tests. Tests is probably not the right word, but the little activities just to see where their skills, or again, depends what you're mentoring them on, right? But where are they
Does it
on
have
that journey?
to be a test? Because I thought of the word like, I thought of the word deliverables, but that sounds a little bit too formal. But you know what I mean? There needs to be some
There needs to be deliberate
mind
practice. Yeah,
around. Okay, by this point, you need to have done blah,
yeah.
and then by this point, you need to have done blah. Is that the kind of thing that you're talking about? There needs to be some output, outcomes, milestones, something that they produce or create or
I
make
think so.
tangible or
Yeah,
okay.
I think so. And again, not
Yep.
to don't want to go down a coaching mentoring rabbit hole, right? But the two often like confuse me. But if you're now I've said it, they are confusing me, right? So we usually say like some coaches can coach anything, right? Really good coaches doesn't have to be something they know. Mentoring tends to be something right? If you're
Yeah.
yeah. So again, there's that. That's what I mean by the the little challenges, tests, deliberate practice. I don't know what the right term is, but something that enables them to they are starting to have some of the skills you show, some of the skills that you have that why you're their mentor in the first place, right? So you want to start seeing some of that progress.
So good or bad experiences of mentoring. I don't know. I was mentoring somebody earlier this year, but I don't know. I feel like I might have dropped the ball with my mentee. I need to drop them a line and see what's going on because yeah, it started out really good. We would see each other all the time, and then life happens and the sessions become less well attended. Um, and then things kind of drift. So I think I need to reach out there. So that was kind of mixed, I would say. I've had more success personally, accountability. So when
Yeah.
people, if I share an objective with somebody and say, "Hey, can you keep me accountable with blah?" That's worked really, really well for me. I even went a couple of years ago. I even went so far as getting myself an accountability coach. I guess that's the
Yeah.
right
Buddy.
phrase. My pal Ryan Cox. I use Rich for that a lot actually. I say, Rich, I'm trying to get out for more walks, Rich. And then he'll ping me every day saying it's lunchtime. Where are you? If you're not outside, you failed,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So that helps. But with mentoring, I don't know if I have people that I consider mentors, but it's not a formal mentoring relationship or arrangement. So there are people that I can go to on a kind of, we've got this kind of informal, they're more like friends who I consider to be quite experienced. So there's a bunch of people that I feel that I can go to and say, hey, this is a situation. What do I do? It's usually, it is usually around that professional side of, software testing, technical leadership, personal development, that kind of stuff. And that's mainly been quite good, but I don't think I've had any, I'm trying to think, have I got any formal regular mentoring? Have I had it? I don't think I've had it. What about you? Have you received any of that official, we are meeting on this time, this frequently to, address this particular goal or outcome that we're trying to achieve? And we're going to do it for a certain amount of time. And this is what good looks like and all the rest of it. Have you done that to anybody to that level?
Probably not to that level, no. I'm mentoring someone internally at work at the moment who wants to improve their public speaking. So that's they have the goal of presenting at a meetup. And yeah, that's been going like pretty well. We have the goal of attending, talking at the meetup. So we're not at the meetup yet, and we've not really formally said what the mini goals are. But the mini goals, I could write them down now, but we haven't said that they're goals. So it's like, what's your topic?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
the
it's
title?
not formally been agreed kind
Yeah.
of thing.
What are the outcomes? So there's clear steps, but we've not really said that they're goals. But really, like creating the presentation is a goal in itself. Practicing giving it is a goal in itself. Then finding somewhere to actually do it in front of people is almost a goal in itself. But yeah, I don't think I've ever really gone down that detailed with people, and most of my mentoring has been kind of informal. But I would say the good and bad experiences that I've had are always down to accountability. So showing up, doing the work, and accountability. When it goes really well, people are there, they're on time, they've done whatever it is they said they were going to do. If they've not done it, they've pinged me in advance to say, we've not done it. Do you want to push out a week? Do you want to do something different? They give me enough time to prep something different. And then when it's not gone well, it's been just not, showing up, not done the work, not showing up when they're meant to. And then a few experiences I've had is like almost I've had a few where they put the blame on me. So as in they've not done the work and then they're annoyed at me that they now can't do whatever it is they want to be able to do because I'm a bad mentor and I'm a bad teacher. And then you go through the fact that you've not done this bits of what we said you would do. And there's like, yeah, well, I didn't think I needed that because, you showed me how to do it. And it's like, but they're not the same. So this has been a while now. Used to be more when I was more involved in community and helping people out, ad hoc. But there was a few occasions where, it was like their lack of doing the work was pushed back on me as being a bad mentor. But maybe I was. I don't know. But it didn't. In my opinion, I don't think it was that. I think it's you. You were meant to do A, B, and C, and you did A. Like. What can I do?
I'm gonna reach back out to my my pal and see if we can.
It has triggered our thought though, and you mentioned Ryan Cox, right? Because I know a few people from the community utilized Ryan when he popped up, and again, I don't want to say that it works better when money's involved, right? But there usually is. Like talking about good experiences, a lot of the time they work better when money is involved because there's that accountability, there's that commitment, and yeah, it somehow holds people more accountable.
Something needs to be on the line because as the mentor, what I've heard other people say is that if you some people get a lot of requests. Hey, can I just have 10 minutes with you to talk about X? And if you actually made yourself available for all of those requests, they would all take up a lot of time. So asking people to put something on the line helps you protect your time because, you know, let's say that it's the situation where you say, "Hey, I'm going to make myself available. Let's meet up at such and such a time," and then people don't show up, and you've taken time out of your day to help folks, and they don't show up. That can be frustrating, regardless of which side of the relationship you're on. That can be quite frustrating. But from the perspective of the mentor, it's kind of like, how can I make people show up? So and even if they don't show up, I haven't completely lost out. And that's where things like, paying for people's time can come into it. And that's where you as a mentee could, I think we've talked about this before in the podcast, drink. And I've definitely talked about this in the book, The Software Tester Journey, that I wrote with my dear friend Nicholas.
You got a book?
You want to be an energy vampire, right? You don't just want to lead in necessarily with, "Hey, I need your time to help me with a problem that is only important to me and not you." That's basically what that sounds like. Saying, "Hey, person who is expert in the thing, I need you to take time out of your day to help me with a problem that only I care about. You've already solved it a million times, so you probably don't really care. And I may or may not show up, and I may or may not even just follow your instructions verbatim or whatever. Can you please take out half an hour of your day every week to help me with the thing?" That's not a compelling offer. So maybe there needs to be something on the line, like how can you help them, and then make it more of a fair exchange. That could be an idea to leverage. That's what I take.
I don't like the ones when you get that exactly what you described. Like, I need it now, and you're like, "All right, I can maybe do it later today." And then you arrange it, and then they don't show up, and it's like you were like so pressured and pushing, and I would like made myself available, and you're not here.
And stuff happens, right? Stuff happens.
Yeah.
It's like we're all humans. We've all got lives. I just think being mindful of that. If you imagine the person you're requesting help from is also having multiple requests from people, if you bear that in mind, then I think it can help focus you a bit.
But it sounds like we're shitting on mentoring a little bit. We're not. It's incredibly, really valuable. But
the thing on mentee mentor, do it. It's I've done it.
Yeah. Another thing we've not spoke about, but like, just very, very quickly, like there's so much to learn as well about yourself being a mentor. So, even if you don't think you have skills, but someone says you do, you're probably going to learn a lot about yourself. Like, again, one of the people I've been coaching at work, I talk about it all the time, but I'm a big reflector, and like not reflector as in get away from me, but like reflecting on the work that you've done. And that allows you to cement your ideas, it push your learning, come up with content ideas. And sometimes you might not be good at that. So trying to mentor someone almost gives you that, because they're coming to you saying, what's A? What's B? What's C? How'd you do that? And you're like, I don't know. I just know how to do it. And then it's like, oh, how am I going to now share this with somebody who wants to know how to do it? So
that is one of the biggest upsides of doing mentoring and coaching, is that you learn a lot about you grow from the experience.
Yeah.
And you figure out how well or not you can explain something to people, and it helps to refine your explanation. It gives you a chance to practice helping people. I think a lot of us have been in a situation where we've been asked to help somebody with something, and we kind of start to help only to realize that we've just missed out 10 steps. Actually, wait, you don't know what a flux capacitor is. Okay, let me explain what a flux capacitor is. Okay, a flux capacitor does this. It's made out of these things, and so that can be a really, really humbling experience to go through, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
All right. Dive into. We've got time for more questions, right?
I think we do one more. I reckon we do one more.
This one, I'm going to ask you this question because I reckon you're going to just start talking and not stop until we actually hit.
I hope not.
So, when onboarding to a new product, when's a good time or good point to start asking about test setup and suggesting how things can be done? When you understand the product a bit, Or is understanding the level of quality more important than understanding the product and ways of working of the related team?
Oof. It's very similar to a conversation I had at work this week, actually. Unrelated context, but it's someone basically doing their first discovery, as we call them, at my place of work. A client wants to move to A, wants to move from A to B, and they want help doing it, but obviously they know nothing about it, right? So they've got to go in and understand stuff before making suggestions. And it's very similar here. So I actually explained it to them using testing. So like the way, so this comes out of the automation and testing training, but I think it's applicable to whatever you were doing. But it was tailored for automating when there wasn't any. But like, you first need to gather facts, right? So before you can do anything that Olly has mentioned there, you need facts. You need truths about the context that you are in. And those facts are what form the context. So ideally, when you're, in my mind anyway, when you're trying to understand the context, you're looking for facts. You're trying to avoid opinion. You're trying to avoid things like that. You're trying to get concrete evidence and facts around how things are and the way they're working. Then in testing, the next layer on top of that for me is testability, which is then an interpretation of those facts. And if you have the facts, it gives your argument more weight, right? So, you talk a lot about sales and stuff, right? It's much easier to sell something when you believe it's going to work and you have a narrative that you can utilize to say this is going to work. And also ties into our last episode when we said it depends, right? Without facts and context, it depends is just your opinion, right? Whereas if you say it depends on, then you list a bunch of facts that everyone's going to go, yeah, that's what we do here. It's like, yeah, well, if you have that, and then my way of dealing with that is because of all this, we would then do something like this. And that in my history and my past, that's worked for reasons A, B, and C. So I think that is the first two starting points. And I wouldn't be looking to start suggesting anything really until I feel comfortable with my understanding of what's going on. So I would say there's a level to it. So I'm still a big fan of the 10 Ps by Rob Meany and Ash Winter. I still think, some of them shouldn't be Ps, but 8 Ps, 1 R and 2 Ts just doesn't come up.
Marketing, bro. Come on, man.
But yeah, I think you also, when we talk about things like testability and like something like the 10 Ps, you start to see the overlap between different factors of the context and why a certain part of the context is the way it is. So if someone just tells you this is the way it is, then, where's the Jerry Weinberg bell, right? Things are the way they are because they got that way. And it's like I'm curious to know why things got that way, right? And that might mean I need to learn more facts about what's been going on. So yeah, that I would say here, back to the last part of his question. I think you need enough of everything. I wouldn't feel confident going around saying you should start changing this without understanding what our quality goals are. I wouldn't feel confident suggesting tools and techniques without understanding what the product is and our ways of working. So, you could, but I wouldn't do that because I like the narrative and the layers of knowledge that almost give my ideas more credibility. So, yeah.
You can. I think I pretty much agree. What I would add is you can. So, I have kids. So I've got kids in my 20s, in their 20s. I've got teenage kids. Soon won't be a teenager for much longer, but anyway, teenage kids, and then I've got the, what do you call them, tweens, nearly teens. And one thing one technique that I've learned with them is, let's say me or my wife said to one of the kids, you need to do the dishes, and they haven't done the dishes, and we thought that they should have done the dishes by now. You could say, you haven't done the dishes. We told you to do the dishes. You need to go do those dishes. Like, get on with it. Or you could say, are you planning on doing those dishes? Like, are you gonna? It looks like you haven't done the dishes, but are you planning on doing them? Because like, what's going on? Like, you can kind of frame the suggestion as a question, and everyone concerned knows it's kind of not a question. You're kind of saying you need to go do those dishes right now, but it sounds like a suggestion, and you're leaving yourself enough wriggle room and them enough wriggle room. Can I say, yes, I was going to go do it? Because they might genuinely be about to go do it. And if you just come in with all guns blazing, you haven't done the thing, and this is what you need to do, and that's one thing you can do. The two words that in this question from Olly, and there's going to be more questions from Olly in the next episode for sure. The two words that jump out to me are the asking and the suggesting. They're the two words. So if I just take them independently, when is a good point to start asking questions about test startup? Now.
Immediately. Yeah.
The answer is always yes.
Yeah.
You should be asking those questions, because asking questions, like I've just demonstrated, there's so many ways you can play with a question. You can ask somebody something that is technically a question. It's not a question. If my wife says to me, "Are you gonna wear that shirt?" That was not a question. There was no question.
That was a downright judgment.
It was an instruction disguised as a question. Right? But you can foster a sense of curiosity. So even though when you arrive on a new project or with a new product that you don't understand as well as you might like, that's actually a superpower. And you can ask questions. And asking those questions, depending on how you do it, you could do it in the weird, passive aggressive ways that I just described, or you could actually be curious and say, "Oh, how are you doing that? I've been on a project like this before. I'd love to see how you're doing it. I can, maybe there's some stuff I can share." And when you're and that brings onto the suggestions part of it. So again, you can make suggestions, or you can be a dick. Do you know what I mean? You can be that. We've all been in a team where someone new joins. There could be a consultant, there could be a perm, it doesn't matter. And they show up and they're like, "In my last company, we did it like this, and we did this, and we did. Oh, you're using that tool? Oh, dearie me!" Like, come on, man. Like, you don't have to do it like that. You can still make a suggestion, even if you don't have the specific context of that product, that specific product. You have a lot of expertise and a lot of experience with a similar product or a similar context or a similar technology, whatever. There's going to be something about the situation that will enable you to make a suggestion or be curious and qualify the curiosity, like qualify the suggestion and saying, "Oh, why don't we do X, Y, and Z? Because when I was on this project, we ran into this situation. But is that relevant here? I don't know. Like, let me know." And like, don't be shy about making it clear. Look, I'm being very tentative and careful with my suggestion, but I feel like I need to offer it because it might help. Like, you can do that, and you should do that. But generally speaking, what Rich was talking about, I'm the same. Like, I definitely like to kind of scope out a bit before I start diving in with suggestions, because another mistake that I've seen people make is you charge in with your suggestion and you're not aware of the history and the scar tissue.
Exactly, yes.
And you're just saying, "Oh, we should do this thing and that thing," as if they haven't done it. And it, maybe they did try it and everybody got burned.
Yeah.
Or it went real bad. And, and you're saying, "Oh, we should do that thing again." You just like triggered a lot of PTSD for people. Like, genuinely, like, you've triggered a lot of bad vibes and history. And last time, please don't say agile around here, because I
think you hit the nail on the head for me when you like, so there can be a suggestion, right? I think we should use playwright, or there can be a suggestion framed as a question.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been a time where you considered using playwright, and how did that go?
Mm-hmm.
You're almost asking the same thing. And then also, to tie it back into the mentoring question, there's also another way of asking putting your suggestion across as a question that then allows the team to go, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think we should definitely use that. And now you've now got them on board. Your suggestion is happening, but not because you suggested it, because you made them realize that that's a great idea, and that's even more powerful. So the whole suggestion versus being a question versus helping other people get to that suggestion themselves, they're all very, very subtly different. But yeah, I do agree with you. Like, and also again, early on, this is me personally, but I wouldn't have it's just not the way I work, just to fire suggestions without being able to say why and how I think it's going to help, and start discussing how we could know it's going to help and what the metrics are. And to do that, I need a lot more knowledge of what's been going on. But yeah, your history one is a brilliant one, and it happens all the time to consultants. It's like you just rock in, like you said, got all my previous tools, all my super belt, all my weapons are on my tool belt. I'm like, right, yeah, let's go.
Man, I'm ready to rock and roll, baby.
Yeah,
certified.
Absolutely.
I do.
And you're like, right, let's go, let's do this, do that. And then, again, and a bad consultant would just try and do it and they'd fail, right? Because they'd, and also if they were clearly if they were a dick about it, the other people were going to let them fail. It's like, yeah, go on then, you're a dick, off you go. Yeah, go on. Like, okay, I'll be over here. So
I'll just put my feet up and watch you crash and burn.
Yeah. But one thing I do love, though, so again, sometimes when you talk about my example of getting the team to make that suggestion, works incredibly well when they've been trying to make that suggestion themselves before a consultant joined, and they're just being shot down because people don't, I don't know, they don't have the backing of them. They don't have the authority that sometimes a consultant has. And I've lost track of the times where I've come in, I've done what Olly's describing here, I've gathered all this intel and I've interviewed the people, and like, we really want to use A, but they keep shutting us down. And then what I can do is go, well, have you tried using this as an argument for A? And they might say, no, we've been shut down too much, I don't want to do it. But then I can do it in front of them and I go, so we're thinking of using A. And then you can see them immediately get ready to shut me down. And I go, yeah, because in my previous roles and my experiences, blah, 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 right? Proper consultant speak. But like, when I say consultant speak, I mean just showing, like you said, selling it really well. And then they listen to me and they'll go, that's a fucking great idea. But prior to me doing that, I've told all the team that I'm going to do this for them. I'm not taking the credit here, even though they might give it to me. I'm helping you get what you want to do. And hopefully in time, we'll start to convince them that you knew the right thing all along. You didn't have to pay all that consultancy fee to get me in, because they knew what to do. You just shut them down because they're not experienced or consultants or whatever reason it is, right? Happens all the time.
It's true. I think it is possible to make suggestions in a way, like when you're new, like Olly was saying. I think it's possible to make the suggestions in a way that is helpful. That's a great example that you described. I would even go a step further. I've absolutely been brought into companies as a consultant, literally because I don't work there. And they're like, we're pretty sure we're not going to tell you anything, but we're pretty sure what you're going to say, and we just need someone to tell our exec team, because they are not listening to what we're saying.
Yeah.
But going back to the point in mentoring around skin in the game, if they pay a consultant certain fees, and then not listen to them, that's not a thing. It is a thing, but people are kind of like, hey, if the consultant is saying to do X, then I can kind of use that as my get out of jail free card. It wasn't my idea, it was the consultant's idea. And it just so happens to be the same thing that the whole team was telling them to do. Everybody wins. Like, everybody wins. So you can, obviously proceed with some kind of caution, but definitely you can use the fact that you are new to your advantage and say, well, you can categorize it as, oh, this is another one of those situations, and therefore this is the solution, or this can help. Have you considered this? What happened the last time you tried X? Oh, you haven't tried X, you say. Interesting.
Interesting.
That's it. Interesting. Yeah.
Make a note. Awesome. Right. Well, there we go. So, yeah, we're loving. We said this we say this every episode, but we're loving getting these questions in. It really helps me and Vern just lock up, chat a little bit, and just hit the ground running without wondering what the hell we can talk about, because we both love overthinking stuff and then we don't end up recording anything. So the questions are really good. Questions, topics, anything along those lines is really appreciated. As we said, on comments, YouTube, LinkedIn DMs, whatever works for you. We'd love to hear them. Or another one, sorry, because I saw a question from Thierry Depau, and I messaged on there saying, can I answer this on the podcast? So we're going to do that in a future episode. But if you see a discussion on LinkedIn that you think Richard and Vern would absolutely have a great time discussing that, tag us.
100%.
Tag us on that post, and we'll pick it up and we'll ask for permission to use it, and then we'll chat away.
Tag us, send us the link if that's tagging us to.
And the mini celebration, Vern, we're past 300 subscribers on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Sorry, we finally broke the 300 barrier, which just was sitting there for a while. We're at 302.
What? Thank you very much indeed, folks. That's very cool. That's very cool. Hey,
I'm very pleased about that.
100 now is the key.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll try and get some consistency as well with some of these shorts coming back. As we said, we've just been a little mini hiatus. The other things in life have taken our time, which is fine. But
mental health, I think, is wealth.
Yeah.
So definitely attend to that if you need to attend to it, folks.
So we'll see you on the next one. Enjoy.
Bye from me.
And goodbye from me.